Let me ask you something real. And I want you to be brutally honest with yourself. How many days have you promised yourself you'd get things done, only to watch them slip through your fingers again? How many times have you felt that fire inside you, that drive to build a better life, just to hit snooze, scroll your phone, and feel that same old regret creeping back in? Listen to me, you're not lazy, you're not broken, you're not unmotivated by nature. You're just using a system that doesn't work for the life you deserve. But starting today, right here in this moment, you get to change the game. I'm going to give you 6 battle-tested hacks to crush laziness at the root and spark daily, unshakable motivation. Not hype, not theory, real tools that I use, that my clients use, that work. So if you're tired of feeling stuck, if you're done living beneath your potential, and if you're ready to finally take back control of your time, energy, and future, then lean in. Stay with me until the end, because these 6 hacks can flip the switch and change your life. You ever notice how on some days you just feel unstoppable? You get up, your energy's high, your mind's clear, and everything just flows. And then other days you feel stuck, heavy, unmotivated. Like no matter how much you want to get moving, your body just says no. That's not because you're lazy, it's because you're living in a disempowered state. Everything starts with your state. Your physical body, your posture, your breathing, your facial expressions, they all send signals to your brain about how you feel and what you're capable of. If you're slouched over, barely breathing, dragging your feet, your brain thinks, we're tired. Let's conserve energy, let's do nothing. But if you shift, if you change your body, stand tall, breathe with intention, put energy in your voice, your entire emotional experience shifts in seconds. You can't wait to feel motivated, you have to create the feeling. Action comes before emotion, not the other way around. People are waiting for the spark, for the drive, for inspiration to show up before they act. But the truth is, motion creates emotion. Move your body, change your focus, take control of your internal dialogue, and you'll light that spark yourself. And once your state shifts, the next thing that transforms is your story. The story you tell yourself in that state becomes either your prison or your power. In a weak state, your story sounds like, I always procrastinate, I'm just not disciplined, I'll never change. But in a powerful state, that story flips. It becomes, I've got this, I take action, I follow through. Same person, same brain, different state, different story, radically different results. So if you want to overcome laziness, don't start with a to-do list, start with your state. Move, breathe, speak out loud like you mean it. Interrupt the pattern, put yourself in peak mode before you even touch a task. Because when you're in the right state, everything else becomes easier. The resistance fades. The energy flows. You don't need motivation to start, you need a decision to shift. And the moment you shift your state, that decision becomes action. One of the biggest reasons people stay stuck in laziness isn't because they're not capable, it's because they're overwhelmed. They look at the mountain of tasks in front of them and their brain goes, too much, too hard. Let's check Instagram instead. Sound familiar? See, the problem isn't the goal. The problem is how we frame the goal. When your mind sees a massive, undefined task, it feels uncertain. And the brain's natural response to uncertainty is to avoid. But when you break that task down into something specific, something small, something winnable, you remove the friction. You remove the weight. Clarity is power. If you don't know exactly what to do next, you'll do nothing. That's why you've got to chunk things down. Not into 10 steps, into 1. Just ask yourself, what's the very next thing I can do to move this forward? Not the whole plan. Just the next. Action. If your goal is to get in shape, don't focus on the 6-month journey. Focus on putting your shoes on. Then focus on 5 minutes of movement. Momentum doesn't start with big moves, it starts with simple ones done with consistency. Here's the truth, your brain loves progress. It doesn't need perfection, it needs progress. When you give it a small win, it releases dopamine. That's not just chemistry, it's momentum. And once you get that win, the second one comes easier. Then the third. Then you look up and you've done more in one day than you used to do in a week. Not because you suddenly became more motivated, but because you mastered how to build momentum instead of waiting for it. You've got to make it easy to win. Most people make it hard. They set huge, vague goals and beat themselves up when they don't hit them. That's a losing game. But when you give yourself clear, actionable steps and celebrate each one, your brain starts to crave the process. You rewire your identity from someone who puts things off to someone who follows through. Don't try to conquer the mountain all at once, just take the next step, then the next. And pretty soon you're not stuck anymore, you're moving, you're building, you're winning. We're all driven by two forces, pain and pleasure. Everything you do or don't do comes down to those two emotions. You avoid things because you associate them with pain, and you chase things because you believe they'll give you pleasure. The problem is, most people have those associations wired in reverse. They link pain to action like working out, showing up, making that tough call, and pleasure to avoiding it. Sitting on the couch feels good in the short term, so they choose it again and again, even when it costs them everything they say they want. But what if you flipped it? What if you trained your mind to feel deep, emotional pain when you avoid the work, and massive pleasure when you take action? That's how you rewire laziness. That's how you take motivation from something random to something automatic. You've got to make inaction feel more uncomfortable than doing the work. Not in theory. Not intellectually, emotionally. Imagine staying stuck 5 years from now. Same patterns, same excuses, same goals on your vision board that never came to life. Really feel that. The frustration. The regret, the embarrassment. Picture your potential wasted. The relationships that suffer, the dreams that die. Make that your pain point, not the discomfort of starting, but the consequence of never starting at all. That's the real cost of laziness, and you've got to feel it now, not later. Then swing the pendulum. Link joy, power, and pride to taking action. Think about how you'll feel after pushing through resistance. The sense of ownership, the confidence that builds every time you follow through. The way others start to respond to you differently because your energy has changed. You need to emotionally condition that pleasure cell. Your nervous system starts craving the grind instead of fearing it. This isn't about discipline, it's about leverage. When the pain of staying stuck outweighs the pain of taking action, change becomes inevitable. When the pleasure of growth outweighs the pleasure of comfort, momentum becomes natural. So don't wait for motivation to find you, create it. Use pain and pleasure like tools. Make them work for you, not against you. Most people try to change their habits while living in an environment that keeps them stuck. They're trying to be productive in a space that screams distraction. They want focus, but their phone's buzzing, the TV's on, they're surrounded by clutter, and the people around them aren't exactly cheering them on. And then they wonder why they can't stay motivated. Let me tell you something, your environment is either pulling you forward or pulling you under. There is no neutral. If you want to stay consistently motivated, you've got to design your surroundings to support the version of you that takes action. That doesn't mean overhauling your entire life overnight. It means making small, intentional changes that stack up and make it easier to win. You walk into a clean, organized space with your goals clearly visible, your tools ready, distractions out of sight, your brain knows it's time to go. No confusion, no hesitation. Just clarity and action. One of the simplest things you can do, remove friction. Whatever slows you down, get rid of it. Whatever makes action easier, bring more of it in. I want to read more. Keep your book where you'll see it. Want to work out in the morning? Lay out your clothes the night before. Don't rely on willpower. Build systems that make taking the right action automatic. And just as important as your physical space is your social space. Who you surround yourself with matters. You spend time around people who complain, procrastinate, and settle, you'll start doing the same. But if you put yourself around people who are driven, disciplined, focused, to expect more from themselves, and you rise. Not because they're pushing you, but because their standard becomes your standard. You start to feel like, this is who I am now. I move. I grow. I don't sit around waiting. Your environment speaks to your subconscious all day long. It tells you who you are, what's possible, and what you expect from yourself. So set it up to reinforce the identity you're stepping into, not the one you're trying to leave behind. Because when your environment aligns with your goals, laziness doesn't stand a chance.